Draxons were a species unlike any other in the galaxy, forged in the crucible of a world where only the strongest survived. From the moment they hatched, every Draxon learned one truth. They were the apex predators of the universe. Their entire society was built on the belief that all other species existed to be hunted, conquered, or consumed. It was a brutal world where the weak perished quickly, leaving only the cunning and the powerful to rise. This relentless pursuit of dominance shaped them into fearsome warriors. Their culture celebrated conquest. Their very history was written in the blood of the defeated. Across countless star systems, the name Draxon inspired dread. They had carved a path of destruction through the stars, subjugating worlds with ruthless efficiency. To them, war was not just survival, it was a sport, a sacred test of superiority. Their fleets, armed with unimaginable weaponry and crewed by the deadliest hunters in the galaxy, had never known defeat. Every new world they encountered was merely another challenge, another trophy to add to their growing empire. So when Draxon explorers discovered Earth, they saw it as little more than a primitive, backwater planet, home to a fragile and disorganized species. Initial scans showed a world rich with life, but laughably underdeveloped in technology. Humans, the dominant species, appeared weak, divided, lacking the unity and strength that the Draxons revered. Recon reports confirmed their assumptions. Earth would be an easy conquest. Eager for a new challenge, the Draxon High Command approved the invasion without hesitation. It wasn't about resources or territory. It was about the thrill of the hunt, the pleasure of watching their prey scatter in fear. Within days, fleets were mobilized. Thousands of warships, each armed with weapons capable of shattering continents, began their journey toward the unsuspecting blue world. For the Draxons, this was routine. They had conquered hundreds of planets before. Earth would simply be the next mark on their record. As the invasion armada gathered, the Draxons boasted of an effortless victory. Their generals laughed about how quickly the humans would bow beneath the weight of their power. Their confidence was absolute, born from centuries of uncontested domination. The fleet that left Vornar Prime was one of the largest ever assembled. Thousands of ships tore through the void of space, moving with the precision of predators, certain that their prey had nowhere to run. When they finally approached the solar system, the commanders reviewed their invasion plans with cold, surgical precision. The strategy was simple: strike fast, strike hard, show no mercy. Negotiation was weakness. Coexistence was unthinkable. They would descend upon Earth like a storm, and when it was over, humanity would either kneel or be exterminated. As the Draxon fleet entered orbit, their sensors scanned the planet's defenses: primitive satellites, scattered space stations, and a few modest fleets of warships. Pathetic. The invaders smiled. This would be over in hours. Their landing craft broke through the atmosphere, burning trails of fire across the sky. The first wave of the invasion had begun. To the Draxons, victory already felt certain. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't even imagine, was that Earth was unlike any world they had ever faced. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was something far worse. The Draxons came expecting an easy conquest. What they found instead was the beginning of a nightmare from which none of them would ever escape. When the first reports of the alien attack reached Earth, the world fell into disbelief and panic. Governments scrambled to respond, activating every defense protocol known to man. And yet, amidst the fear, a deep resolve began to stir, a fire in the human spirit that refused to die. Nations that had once been divided stood together under a single banner: survive, resist, fight back. For the first time in history, humanity was united by a single cause, not for conquest, but for survival. The Draxons thought they were the hunters, but as they would soon learn, Earth raises predators, not prey. From the shadows they struck, launching ambushes with ruthless precision, setting traps in the most unexpected places, and turning the very landscape itself into a weapon. Every counterattack was meticulously planned, designed to inflict maximum damage with surgical efficiency. The human forces hit hard and vanished faster than the eye could follow, disappearing into forests, ruins, and storm-swept cities before the scarn could mount an organized response. What the Karn mistook for chaotic resistance was in truth a highly coordinated campaign crafted to destabilize, exhaust, and demoralize the invaders. Humanity wasn't merely defending their planet. They were dismantling the Scarn war machine, piece by piece, battle by battle. But the true turning point didn't come from weapons or tactics. It came from psychology. The Scarn, once so certain of their superiority, began to feel something alien to them: fear. Human forces exploited that weakness mercilessly, using psychological warfare to spread panic and confusion through the enemy's ranks. False transmissions, fake troop movements, decoy signals that led Scarn units straight into death traps, where they were swiftly and silently eliminated. The Scarn, who had always seen themselves as the apex predators of the galaxy, now found themselves hunted. Every shadow whispered danger. Every sound in the dark sent chills through their scales. They had come to Earth expecting to crush a fragile species, but instead they were being hunted by an enemy far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Human ingenuity became the weapon that turned the tide. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, creating new technologies and modifying old ones to fit the chaos of war. Drones and unmanned vehicles gathered intelligence, striking with pinpoint accuracy. Cyber warfare units infiltrated Scarn communication networks, feeding them false data and throwing their command structures into disarray. The Scarn's greatest strength, their reliance on advanced technology, became their downfall. The humans exploited every weakness they could find, turning the Scarn's tools of domination against them. Strategically, humanity proved far more adaptable than the invaders. Where the Scarn expected a traditional war, they were met with one that was anything but. The human forces operated in decentralized cells, making it nearly impossible for the Scarn to deliver a decisive blow. Each unit functioned with autonomy, capable of making split-second decisions and adapting to shifting conditions. That flexibility allowed humanity to stay one step ahead. The Scarn, bound by rigid command structures, simply couldn't keep up. As the human counterattacks intensified, the Karn began to understand the full extent of their miscalculation. They had underestimated not just the human will to fight, but the human capacity to innovate, to evolve, and to reshape the very nature of war. Losses mounted. Morale plummeted. The once proud predators now found themselves as prey. What had begun as a confident invasion had turned into a desperate struggle for survival. The Scarn commanders, who once bragged of an easy conquest, now faced the harsh truth: they were losing. Humanity wasn't just surviving, they were winning, with a ferocity, intelligence, and relentless determination the Scarn had never faced before. The shift from defense to offense marked the turning point of the entire war. The hunters had become the hunted, and Earth had awakened. They had come to Earth expecting conquest. Now they were being driven out, their armies shattered, their pride in ruins. Humanity had proven something the Scarn would never forget. They weren't merely a species that could endure an invasion. They were one that could strike back with devastating precision. In the aftermath, the Karn were left wondering how they had so completely misjudged their opponents. The fragile, primitive species they sought to dominate had turned out to be the most formidable adversary they had ever faced. The mighty Karn fleets had descended upon Earth expecting an effortless victory. But war had humbled them, leaving their legions broken, their confidence in tatters. The losses they suffered went far beyond numbers or ships destroyed. It was the crushing realization that they had gravely underestimated humanity, and there was no denying it anymore. The once proud invaders now faced an impossible choice: continue a losing battle, or retreat to save what remained of their forces. Reluctantly, the Karn withdrew. Their fleets limped away from Earth's orbit, a desperate retreat disguised as strategy. But humanity was not content with mere survival. The scars upon their world, the lives lost, and the devastation the Scarn had unleashed ignited within them a fire, a burning desire for retribution. Humanity had endured. They had adapted, and now they would make the Scarn pay. The decision was unanimous. The war would not end with the enemy's retreat. Earth would take the fight to the stars, to ensure that the Scarn would never again threaten their home. Mobilization began on a scale the world had never seen. The united forces of Earth, tempered by fire and forged in blood, rose as one. Massive fleets assembled. New warships, faster, smarter, deadlier, launched into the void. The objective was clear and absolute: hunt the Scarn. make them answer for every life they destroyed. The predators who once came seeking prey had become the hunted, and humanity was bringing the war to their doorstep. As the human fleets pursued the retreating Karn through the black expanse of space, the conflict grew beyond the bounds of Earth's sky. It became a war among the stars. Across light years, battles raged, epic confrontations that lit up the void with the fire of vengeance. The human armadas, driven by unbreakable resolve, clashed with the Karn in brutal, relentless engagements. The galaxy had never witnessed warfare like this. Human ships, smaller and faster than the colossal scarn dreadnoughts, moved like ghosts through the void, striking hard, vanishing into nothingness, and striking again. Their hit-and-run tactics tore through the scarn fleets with devastating effect. The scarn, once the masters of space combat, now found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer tenacity, creativity, and fury of the human fleet. They struck with unstoppable speed and precision, exploiting every weakness in the scarn defenses. What had once been a mighty armada was now being torn apart, ship by ship, battle by battle. Their numbers dwindled with every encounter. Humanity had completely reversed the tide. The hunters had become the hunted, and now it was the scarn who fought desperately for their own survival. As the human fleet pressed deeper into scarn-controlled space, desperation began to consume the alien ranks. The once proud predators were reduced to fugitives, fleeing from the very species they had once sought to enslave. They tried to regroup. They tried to mount a final line of defense. But the relentless pursuit of the human fleet gave them no time to breathe, no space to recover. Every stand they made was crushed beneath the weight of human strategy and precision. Each last stand ended the same, with overwhelming force, flawless execution, and no mercy shown. The psychological impact was catastrophic. The fear that had first taken root during the invasion of Earth had now grown into full-blown panic. The scarn, the self-proclaimed apex predators of the galaxy, were now being hunted through the stars like beasts in the dark. Their territories fell one by one. Their fortresses crumbled beneath human firepower. Humanity advanced without hesitation, without pause, without forgiveness. The once invincible Scarn Empire was being pushed back, system by system, into the farthest, coldest corners of the galaxy. Then came the final blow. The human fleet reached the Scarn homeworld. The aliens had hoped to regroup there, to make their final stand on the soil of their birth. But by the time humanity arrived, their forces were in shambles, their morale shattered beyond repair. The humans unleashed a full-scale assault on the Scarn homeworld, a battle that would decide the fate of the war and the future of both species. Despite their desperation, the Scarn were no match for the human war machine that had come to settle the score. And in the end, the once mighty Scarn Empire collapsed under the weight of its own arrogance. Under the crushing weight of human fury, the once proud hunters who sought to rule the galaxy were left in ruins, their territories invaded, their fleets annihilated, their empire shattered beyond recognition. Humanity had not only survived the invasion, but had turned it into a decisive victory that would forever alter the balance of power in the stars. The message was unmistakable. Earth does not breed prey, it breeds predators. And any who dared to challenge humanity would face the full wrath of a species that had proven itself to be the true apex predator of the galaxy. The campaign became known across the stars as the Galactic Hunt. It marked a turning point in galactic history, the moment when humankind stepped from the shadows of fear and claimed its rightful place among the stars. The Scarn, once feared and respected by countless worlds, were now nothing more than a cautionary tale, a grim reminder that Earth was not a world to be trifled with. The predators of Earth had claimed their throne among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The war that began with the arrogant invasion of Earth ended in the cataclysmic fall of the Scarn homeworld. The galaxy's former apex predators now stood on the brink of extinction. Their last desperate stand, a futile defense of their dying world, was crushed beneath the relentless assault of the human fleet. The battle was brutal, but the outcome had never been in doubt. Driven by a burning desire to end the Scarn threat once and for all, humanity unleashed the full power of its war machine. In mere hours, the Scarn defenses were obliterated, their capital reduced to ash, and their once mighty empire brought to its knees. With the fall of the Scarn homeworld, the war was over. Humanity had not only endured the invasion, it had transformed it into a victory so absolute that it reshaped the destiny of the galaxy itself. The Scarn, once the terror of the stars, were now nothing more than scattered remnants, broken and defeated. Their reign of fear had ended, and in its place, a new power had risen from Earth, fierce, unyielding, and unstoppable. The age of humanity among the stars had begun.